this dream that you had to become a painter, but you've never picked up a paintbrush, or you have done it for fun, but you won't pick up a paintbrush every single day. And you'll say, oh, it's because I can't paint every day. Who said you needed to paint every day? We're just talking about picking up the paintbrush every day. Start there. You can pick up the paintbrush every day. You can slowly begin to learn the tiny details, because art is in the details, but so is life. Art is in the details, life is in the details, and intentional life is in the details. You become the main character by living a very intentioned and detailed life. You can pick up a paintbrush every day for 10 or 20 seconds, and then all of a sudden, you do that for 30, 60, 90 days, you know that paintbrush like the back of your hand. You know where it starts, you know where it begins, you know how to maneuver it through your fingers, through your hands, maybe how to even, you know what I mean? Like, you know the angles. And then maybe one day, now that you're so used to picking up a paintbrush every day, you start dipping the paintbrush into paint, right? And that's it. And then you learn maybe 1,000 ways to dip the brush. And then maybe you're dipping the brush and you're dropping a piece of paint onto paper. And now you do that like 300 days in a row for a whole year. That's all you do, because that's all you have time to do. You got 5 minutes to dip the brush, drop the paint on the paper page. And if you are focused and in the moment, and your mind's not traveling forward or backwards or thinking about all these things, you might notice in that 300 days of picking up the brush, dipping it, and dropping paint, that depending on the angle at which you hold the brush, it impacts the way the paint falls on the page. And then all of a sudden you understand what precise angle to hold the brush to get a specific outcome on the page. And so now you've done 1, 2, 3 things, picked up the brush, dipped it a certain way, because maybe the way you dip the brush, the angle in which you push it, if you flick it, if you do whatever, and then drop it on the page, also impacts the combination of like the angle at which you hold it to drop the paint, right? And what it looks like on the page. You've mastered something really incredible that many people have not done. Many people who have time to paint 2, 3, 4, 5 hours a day might not have done, because that's all you had to focus on. It's like my goal every single day is pick up that brush, feel that, maneuver that, dip it, drop, watch, drop, watch, drop, watch every day, and you've learned something. And then if you do that 300 days in a row, you will probably have a piece of art. And then it might not be interesting and compelling to somebody who does it mindlessly, but because you've thoughtfully watched the way it drops, now you have a whole story about how you made this piece. You have an artistic statement. You have the story of the piece, like, this is what this means, this is what it's about. Art is not necessarily about the end project, what it looks like. That's why we go, like, a 4-year-old could have painted that. Why is this a masterpiece? Because of the thought and the intention behind it. It was very specific outcome. It's like you're measuring very specific things. And so it's this idea of you stop focusing on the outcome, right? It's like you have an ideal of what you want to do. You have an ideal of what you're capable of doing every single day, and you do what you're capable of every day, and then you look up and you see what happens, and then you have a story, you have context. Does that make sense?